Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah find you well in your iman and taqwa and with your family and situations, inshallah, in the best of health and in this blessed month of Hajj al-Wida, inshallah. Dhul Hajjah. Excuse me on that. Anyway. May Allah bless the Hujjaj who have gone and traveling and are there. We know that there was some incident yesterday as well with the fires in the hotel. May Allah keep them all safe and secured and bring them back in safety to their homes, to their families, and accept their prayers and du'as and the Hajj, inshallah. And those who have passed away, may Allah receive them in the highest levels of paradise, inshallah. I have a few announcements, so please bear with me. I've got a big list here. First of all, I want to thank our two students who came here and did the Quran, the tilawat of the Quran. The OCA students, Hamza Khan and Isa Siddiqui. So may Allah bless them, and we have this on an ongoing basis. We want to encourage our youth, our OCA students, both boys and girls, to do this on a regular basis so we can appreciate and encourage them, and these are our future leaders, inshallah. We have a job opening. There are details at isocmasjid.org. So those who are interested can look at the website and you'll get the details there. Those who are leaders and those who are involved in the community organizing, there is Bayan Claremont Graduate University, which you're all aware of. They are offering some intensive classes here at our masjid on October 4th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. And there's a discount if you register early this month. If you come in and do it next month, obviously, you're going to pay the full price. Right now, I think it's $49 and it'll jump. So please register and encourage others that may be interested who are organizing and doing volunteer work or leadership kind of a thing. It's a good thing. You do know that we have a food pantry, which is very vibrant, serves over 200 families each month. And we do run short of food that we need to buy, fresh produce, milk, bread, whatever that may be, even though we get quite a bit donated for the food banks. So we are requesting you to donate so that we can buy groceries on a wholesale pricing and be able to provide that to the families and needy in the community and across. And also, it's being the month of Dhul Hajjah, and we know that we have to give sacrifice, udaya. So there are a lot of families that can benefit from the meat and the distribution. So if you wish to give that, you can definitely give your donation to ISOC and through the food pantry. That meat can be distributed and provided for. We do have, as you know, an annual event that comes up, coordinated by the Shura Council of Southern California. It's the Open Mosque Day. And this is happening 2 days this time around, October 10th and October 11th. And this will be at every masjid across the Southern California, and it'll be from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. The tours that will be made possible by volunteers and others. And so here at ISOC, we'll be having our own on those 2 days, October 10th and 11th. Please encourage your neighbors, your colleagues, friends, people that you know in the faith-based communities to come and visit and know who we are and what do we do. We don't want the situation of a clock and a kid being handcuffed for no reason. So it's best to inform, to know that we are all people with values and peace. October 3rd, October 31st, ISOC will be hosting a food fest. Well, we feed and food, I guess. So we'll be feeding you with the food fest. It'll be different bazaars and all that. The flyers are available. You can pick it up outside. I know you're wondering, what about the Eid? Where are we going to have the Eid al-Adha? It is going to be Thursday, September 24th, inshallah, at the Angel Stadium. That'll be, the takbirat will start 6:45, and 7:15 is going to be the prayers. If everything goes well and the weather holds, inshallah, then we should be fine. If for some reason there should be a weather change in pattern, then we'll have an emergency in basis. We'll be holding prayers here, but that will be determined as the week progresses and the weather patterns improve. We also have the day of Arafah. We'll be having celebrating over here with a community iftar. So it's $2 a ticket today. If you buy it after today, it's $5. So I would hurry and buy that at $2. It's a bargain. We are wanting to sign up volunteers at different levels. The MYG is trying to recruit new people into their own group, but volunteerism is for all of us, at all ages, all people across the board. So please sign up. There are paperwork and sign-up sheets at the booth outside. And after the prayers, we'll be having Islamic Relief Brother Abdul Ghafoor, giving a short 2-minute talk. So please be seated and do listen, because they have Brother Ghafoor has something important to share. So obviously, as always, Chamia is the food thing there, and you can enjoy it, all the goodies that they have. I want to welcome our guest Khadib, Sheikh Usman Umarji. May Allah bless him. He's the one who runs our Sunday program as well and does a great job. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر، الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
الحمد لله. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. We begin by praising and thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for indeed Allah is the one who owns and He deserves all thanks and all praise. We seek the guidance of Allah. We seek the assistance of Allah. We seek Allah's forgiveness. We seek His nearness. We seek His love. And we put our complete trust and belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is because of this deep trust and belief that we have in Allah that we beseech Allah to protect us from the evil thoughts that creep into our minds. And we beg Allah to protect us from the consequences of the poor choices that we make in this life. I bear witness that there is nothing in this universe worthy of serving, of worshipping, of bowing to, of ultimately loving and being grateful to, except for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I bear witness that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam is his last and his final messenger. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ittaqullaha haqqa tuqatihi wa la tamutunna illa wa antum muslimun. O you who believe, be mindful of Allah, be conscious of Allah, be in awe of Allah in a way Allah has a right that you be conscious of Him and in awe of Him, and do not die unless you die in a state of submission to Him as a Muslim. Waba'd. The season of Hajj is one of the most beautiful, blessed times of the year. The season of Hajj is a time of remembrance, is a time of gratitude. And we cannot fully appreciate the season of Hajj if we do not remember the story of a man and his family that took place over 4,000 years ago. The life of Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. Ibrahim alayhi salam and Hajj are pretty much coming from the same root. They are one and the same. All of the acts of Hajj are rooted in his life. This entire season is a commemoration of who he was and what he stood for. And therefore, while we have our brothers and sisters on the other side of the world currently there in Mecca or in Medina simulating many of those rites, I thought it would be prudent for us today to talk about his life and to derive the core lessons that he came to teach us. Ibrahim alayhi salam, he lived in a world where everyone disbelieved. Ibrahim alayhi salam, he lived in a world where some worshipped stone idols, others worshipped wooden idols, some worshipped planets, others worshipped kings. Some form of shirk was prevalent in every region that Ibrahim he visited. Yet Ibrahim alayhi salam's message, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reiterates this in the Quran, was about him being the one steadfast, was about him being the one who goes against the grain, was about him being the one who doesn't do what is the status quo thing to believe and to do. And this is why he was blessed with a title. Not only he's been known as Khalilullah, the intimate friend of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but as ummatun wahida. He was a nation by himself. And so my dear brothers and sisters, I want to speak about two major points from his life today that I hope we can leave with. That all revolve around the concepts of Hajj, as we'll get into. The first and most important is that Islam is a logical faith. Our religion, our belief system is something we should be confident in because it is established on firm, logical, rational foundations. And the second, after we have this deep conviction in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and in Islam, Ibrahim, he teaches us to have unconditional submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I want to begin by speaking about some of the incidents in Ibrahim's life. Because as we mentioned, he was the only one who believed. He must have had conviction in his beliefs to stand up against the status quo. And if you notice, every time he was challenged in his belief, or he challenged others in their beliefs, he would say to them, he would call them with logical principles of dawah. So let's take the first story. As a young boy, Ibrahim alayhi salam, he recognizes there's something illogical about kufr. There's something that doesn't make sense about idolatry. So when he goes and he demolishes their statues, and the people come to him, they say, Ibrahim, why did you do this? He doesn't say to them, well, I don't think this is right. He used logic. He said, okay, you know what? These are your gods, right? Why don't you ask the biggest God of yours? Who did this? Your gods are supposed to be powerful. They're supposed to protect you. They oversee you. They provide you with food. They provide you with rizq. They're all broken. Ask the big God. And then the people, they realize, man, what we're believing in doesn't make any sense. And what was their response? It wasn't, all right, Ibrahim, we're going to prove you wrong. He said, man, this guy makes too much sense. Throw him in the fire and get rid of him. And Ibrahim alayhi salam stood steadfast. Even at that point, when he knew what he was on was the truth, and there was going to be a consequence for it, he said, I'm willing to accept that, and I know Allah, He will protect me. As Ibrahim, he grows older, he goes and he meets the famous king Nimrud. And he's debating him in religion, debating him in belief. He said, my Lord, the creator of this universe is Allah. And the king says, I'm the God. I am Allah. And we know the story, he goes back and forth. Allah gives life and death. He said, I give life and death as well. So he brings forth an innocent man, he kills him. He brings a guilty man and he sets him free. He said, look, I can do the same. So Ibrahim says, you're not getting the point. Allah, He makes the sun rise from the east, you bring it from the west. فَبُهِتَ الَّذِي كَفَرَ. And the king realized, all right, he got me. His illogical foundations showed themselves before the people. And what was the punishment again? Get rid of this man. Finally, in the third incident, Ibrahim alayhi salam, he comes to the land of Palestine. May Allah free it from the hands of the criminals. Allahumma ameen. And he sees them worshipping the planets, the stars, Mercury and Venus and other heavenly bodies. And he tells them, okay, you know what? You guys are worshipping these celestial bodies. They're distant and they're very faint. Why don't you worship the moon? It is brighter to us. It is more apparent to us. It is larger in our face. And then of course, and the people said, hey, that's a good idea. And then of course, the moon, it rises, it sets, you see it, sometimes you don't see it. He goes, this doesn't make any sense. The next day, aha, I got it, you guys. Let's worship the sun. فَلَمَّا رَأَى الشَّمْسَ بَازِغَةً قَالَ هَذَا رَبِّي هَذَا أَكْبَرُ. He told the people, when he saw the sun, with its glory, with its light, with its size, he said, this should be the Lord then. It is the biggest. And they said, yeah, that's a good idea. And then of course the sun, it set in the evening, and he said to his people, Ya qawmi, inni bari'u mimma tushrikun. When he saw the sun set, he goes, my people, look, this was an intellectual exercise. I don't believe in any of this nonsense. I am free from these false beliefs that you have. And we see each time, every time, Ibrahim, he didn't say, what you guys are doing doesn't make any sense, and stop there. He didn't say, I have my beliefs, you have yours. He proved it to them. And with that last example, I want to bring a story or a lesson from today. People today don't worship Mercury and Venus anymore. People don't usually worship the stars in their celestial forms. But people today worship different types of stars that we see. And many of us have heard this example. But Ibrahim, he put a very different analysis on this topic. He said, look, these planets, they rise and they set. The sun rises and it sets. The moon rises and it sets. So the way people today, they worship these superstars in society. Singers, actors, athletes, politicians, famous people. Ibrahim is telling us, think deeply. Yes, they're stars in a metaphorical sense. But more importantly, these people, they rise and they set. Think about your youth. Or if you're a youngster, think about who you looked up to 10 years ago. Think who was popular. Think who was being followed. Think who was on top of the world 10, 15, 20 years ago, from the 90s or the 80s or the early 2000s. That singer, no one knows who he is today. That actor, he's long forgotten. That athlete, he's retired and his knees are probably not in good condition. Human beings, they rise and they set. The same way that all creation is like this, with the exception of the Anbiya. So the message of Ibrahim is saying, look people, don't invest in things that are temporal in nature. Don't invest in fads, intellectual fads, or in pop culture fads. This is cool today, it's silly tomorrow. This is hip today, it looks ridiculous tomorrow. You know that, those of us who are older. You've lived and you laugh when you look at the youngsters today. They wear certain clothes and you say 10 years ago, you would have looked like a fool. 10 years ago, think about the people who worshipped those Michael Jackson or Elvis Presley and these other people. The kids probably have never heard these names. Why? Because they were on top of the world and they set and they're forgotten. And the lesson from this is something which people, the youth, they don't get, they forget about this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us, He's showing us that these fads come and go, but what doesn't come and go are the lessons of the Anbiya, the lives of the Anbiya. Your youth might say today, Mom, Dad, come on, Ibrahim is old-fashioned. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they lived thousands of years ago. How important can they be? Yet we find their message being relevant today. We find their name being elevated today. And we find the message of people who lived 10 years ago forgotten and buried under the dust. The sunnah of the Anbiya is alive and well, and the sunnah of the pop stars has been dead. And maybe those who are alive today, it's there. You wait 5 years, those who are famous today will be forgotten tomorrow. This is the sunnah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't fall for the fool's gold. Listen to the message of Ibrahim. Worship that which is steadfast, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and follow the sunnah of those whose status has been preserved throughout humanity. The second principle, my dear brothers and sisters, now we've established Ibrahim's life was about deeply instilling with conviction, belief, logical, rational, well thought out belief. The second step is where people often struggle, and Ibrahim is the exemplar. Once someone says, I firmly believe after thinking deeply, Islam is the truth, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ is the truth, the Anbiya are truthful, the Quran is the truth. At that point, Ibrahim and the Anbiya say, we hear and we obey. At that point, it doesn't become every single minor act I must fully rationalize, I must fully investigate before I do it. So let's look at Ibrahim's life in this regard. Ibrahim alayhi salam, if we take the act of Hajj, he's asked the first step of this journey to leave his wife and his son in the valley of Mecca when no one resides there. No food, no water, no shade. If we were to all put our feet, if we're all to put ourselves in the feet of Ibrahim, what would we do? What would we say? This doesn't make any sense. I can't leave my wife here. I can't leave my son here. And Ibrahim, he left them there. And he walked away. And his wife, finally, she asked, is this from Allah? And when he nodded in approval, then she said, then Allah will not forsake us. Go do what you have to do. We have trust and conviction. We have tawakkul. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have this reliance that we've already believed. So when He commands us, we know it's in our good. We know it's in our good. Did Ibrahim know that Allah is going to make the well of Zamzam gush forth? Did he know that people will then come when they find water? They would establish a city. His wife and his kid and his son will be raised there. Did he know he will later build the Kaaba there? He said, I hear and I obey. He comes back years later. Allah, He tells him in the middle of the desert now, build the Kaaba with his son. And he finishes building the Kaaba. He says, stand on top of the mountain, call the people to Hajj. Ibrahim, he climbs a mountain. He looks around. There's nobody for miles and miles and miles. And he says, Allah, how are people going to hear my voice? And Allah said, Ibrahim, your job is to call the people to Hajj. My job is to make them come. And Ibrahim, أَوَأَذِّمْ فِي النَّاسِ بِالْحَجِّ, call the people to Hajj. يَأْتُوكَ رِجَالًا وَعَلَى كُلِّ ضَامِرٍ يَأْتِينَ مِنْ كُلِّ فَجٍّ عَمِيقٍ. Allah tells Ibrahim, stand up and call the people to Hajj. They will come walking. They will come on their animals. They will come from every corner of the world. Just do your job and trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Ibrahim, he called, and the people, they came. It was very simple for Ibrahim. Finally, the last and most important test in his life. He's being in the dreams occur over and over and over to slaughter his son. What logic could he apply? What could he think that would say this is going to make sense? No one could imagine a benefit to slaughtering your own child. But he understood the ru'ya, the dream of prophets are true. And my job is to submit. إِذْ قَالَ لَهُ رَبُّهُ أَسْلِمْ. When Allah told him, submit. قَالَ أَسْلَمْتُ لِرَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. I have submitted to the Lord of the worlds. In each of these circumstances, had Ibrahim said, I'm going to stop and think and rationalize every single action, he would have done nothing. But my dear brothers and sisters, the logic and the rationale was used in conviction and belief. And every single act, he said, I've already established that Allah is the truth. I've already established what Allah is telling me is good. At that point, it's fine. Think about your own life. Most of us, we live our life, we trust other sources of authority. You find a doctor. You do your research. And you find out this doctor, he has credentials. This doctor, he has got good reviews from other patients. Now when the doctor gives advice, people say, okay, I trust you because I have belief that you're capable. It is not an argument with every single step. Yet when it comes to Islam, sometimes people fail in this regard. Say, we believe, but we're only going to do things that we think make sense. And this goes against the message of Ibrahim. And if we go back a full circle to Hajj. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He opens hearts and He opens minds. Many have gone to Hajj, many have not. May Allah make the trip for them easy one day. I mean, people do things that are hard to fully understand. They throw rocks in Jamarat. They do sa'i. They do tawaf. They do udhiyah. They stand on Arafah. They go to Mina. They go to Muzdalifah. It is not easy for every human being with his limited knowledge to fully comprehend, I know exactly why I'm doing this. Yet Islam tells us, trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do what you're asked to do, and there is going to be good for you in it. Your ultimate salvation and your success lies in what Ibrahim, he taught you. Come to belief, فَعْلَمْ أَنَّهُ لَا إِلَهَ إِلَّا اللَّهِ. Know with knowledge there is no God but Allah. And then do what you're asked to do. And then seek the knowledge of maybe perhaps what's the benefit in that. And the wisdoms and the values behind the acts which we do. But don't ever let that become an impediment between you and doing what you're asked to do. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us amongst those who believe and who wholeheartedly submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala the way that Ibrahim alayhi salam he did. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم التائب من ذنبي كمن لا ذنب له فدعوا الله. الحمد لله وكفى وصلوات الله وسلامه على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. The life of Ibrahim alayhi salam and the manasik of Hajj that he were taught, they were lost for thousands of years after he died until Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam he revived them. And the acts of Hajj were completely turned upside down. And they were turned from acts of tawheed to acts of shirk until the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ himself had to clean the Kaaba of idolatry. The sunnah of the Anbiya is something which we know is timeless. It is something which we know people often forget about as each generation passes. It is our job as inheritors of the prophetic message to revive those beliefs. And in the season of Dhul Hijjah, there are many things that we can do. In closing, a few things to think about. The first thing I'll mention is to remember that these 10 days of Dhul Hijjah, which we're already almost halfway into, are the most beloved days of the year. As the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in the authentic hadith, ما من أيام العمل صالح فيهن حب إلى الله عز وجل من هذه الأيام العشر. That there are no days where good deeds are more beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than these 10 days. And the companions, they asked, even jihad? He said, even jihad, unless if you go in and fight and you spend all your money and your life. So you died and you lost all your money. Revive the sunnah of Dhul Hijjah. We live in America. This is foreign. Ramadan is our communal time to be spiritual, and we forget. Allah loves the good deeds in these 10 days more than He loves it in the days of Ramadan. So what do? This is a chance to revive a prophetic sunnah. Do we do more Quran, read more Quran? Do we do more adhkar? Do we come to the masajid more? Do we show our parents more righteousness? Are we good to our neighbors? Do we make amends with the relatives that we have problems with? This is the time to do it. This is the time that Allah, He loves this more than any other time of the year. Allah, He swears in the Quran, وَالْفَجْرِ وَلَيَالٍ عَشْرٍ وَالشَّفْعِ وَالْوَتْرِ وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا يَسْرٍ هَلْ فِي ذَلِكَ قَسَمٌ لِذِي حِجْرٍ. Allah, He swears, as the ulama mentioned, by the acts in these 10 nights, by the Fajr prayer in these 10 nights, on the day of Eid, on the night of Arafah, have we fixed our salawat with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in these 10 nights? A lot of us have gotten lazy. It's human nature. Don't beat yourself over the head. But make a vow, Ya Allah, this is a chance for me. You swore by the importance of the Fajr Salah. And you swore by the importance of Fajr, especially in these days. I'm going to get up and pray. You swore by the night and the virtues of that night prayer. I'm going to make sure I go to sleep, pray Isha before I go to bed. Ya Allah, you swore by the sacred things that are even and odd in the month of Dhul Hijjah. Some salawat are 2 rak'ahs, some are 3. There's different things. I'm going to do all of them, Ya Allah. Make this niyyah. Something, subhanAllah, we all know last week of the incident when the crane fell on top of a portion of the haram and killed over 100 people who were on their way to making Hajj. Hajj hadn't begun yet. We never know. Imagine those people, they might have had a ton of sins. And perhaps they said, Ya Allah, I'm going to wipe all these sins when I go for Hajj. Of course, Allah's rahmah is vast, but they didn't get to do the Hajj. We ask Allah to forgive all of them. But do not wait for the Hajj to forgive you of your sins. You can start that today. This is the rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We don't need to have an intermediary. We don't need to stand in front of the Kaaba. We can do it from here, begin and say, Ya Allah, Dhul Hijjah, the most sacred time, the most blessed time of the year, where the most blessed acts are being done, while we're remembering the most blessed people in history, I'm going to fix my life. This is my plan in these days of Dhul Hijjah. And then inshallah, by fasting on the day of Arafah, all the sins of the last year, all the sins of the next year, those will be forgiven if they're done with ikhlas. So I encourage everyone to fast on Wednesday. My dear brothers and sisters, please spend some time in the next few days. We are not at Hajj, so we're not going to simulate those actions. But talk to your family about the life of Ibrahim. Talk to your family about the things that he did, the things that he stood for, the actions that he lived for. And let that be something which you stand on. Let that be a common ground that we all, Muslims, Christians and Jews, everyone in the society, with all the Islamophobia, everyone acknowledges Ibrahim is righteous. And remember Allah's the ayah, and we'll close with this. وَمَن يَرْغَبُ عَن مِلَّةِ إِبْرَاهِيمَ إِلَّا مَن سَفِهَ نَفْسَهُ. Whoever rejects, no one rejects the lifestyle of Ibrahim except for one who makes a fool out of himself. So if you want to be someone who's noble, then follow his footsteps, revive his sunnah, and you can only do that if you read and you study about his life. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us amongst those who follow in the footsteps of Ibrahim. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the steadfastness and the belief and the actions of Ibrahim. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us amongst his beloved. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us amongst those who will be granted an opportunity to perform Hajj one day. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept from all those who are performing the Hajj. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept their dua when they stand before Arafah and the dua which they make for us. Oh Allah, we ask you to make us the best Muslims we can be in this hour starting today. Allah, we ask you to forgive us of all of our shortcomings and our mistakes. Allah, we ask you to grant us the highest stations in your Jannatul Firdaus, where we'll be with all the prophets and the righteous on the Salihun. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. اللهم ألف بين قلوبنا، اللهم وحد صفوفنا، اللهم اهدنا واهدي بنا واجعلنا سببا لمن اهتدى. اللهم امين. واقيم الصلاه ان الصلاه تنهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر ولذكر الله اكبر والله يعلم ما تصنعون. واقيم الصلاه ان الصلاه تنهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر.
الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح. قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
استوى التراص ويرحمني يرحمكم الله. Please keep your line straight. Keep your hearts focused on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allahu Akbar. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين وجاهدوا في الله حق جهاده هو اجتباكم وما جعل عليكم في الدين من حرج ملة أبيكم إبراهيم هو سماكم المسلمين من قبل وفي هذا ليكون الرسول شهيدا عليكم وتكونوا شهداء على الناس فأقيموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة واعتصموا بالله هو مولاكم فنعم المولى ونعم النصير الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين قد أفلح من تزكى وذكر اسم ربه فصلى بل تؤثرون الحياة الدنيا والآخرة خير وأبقى إن هذا لفي الصحف الأولى صحف إبراهيم وموسى الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. استغفر لا إله إلا هو القيوم. استغفر لا إله إلا هو القيوم. استغفر لا إله إلا هو القيوم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Just a few requests for dua. The first is actually a good note. Alhamdulillah, the community has been making dua for Dr. Ahmad Saqr for the last few weeks and months, and alhamdulillah, he's doing much better. So he actually wanted to convey his gratitude to everyone for including him in his dua, in your dua. Please continue to keep in your dua so Allah makes him better and better. Please make dua for Sister Afifa Razak. She suffered a heart attack in India. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give her a speedy recovery. Please make dua for Ibrahim. She's not feeling healthy. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give her shifa. Please make dua for Ozdindar's family. They're making a request to pray for the deceased Mansoor Ozdindar. Today marks the 40th day that he passed away. May Allah forgive him. Please make dua for Shifa, for Sister Isada Nafu, who was under chemical treatment after her cancer. We ask Allah to give her a speedy recovery and to give patience to her family. Make dua for Sister Rabia. Please make dua of Shifa for Sister Rabia Imran. Make dua for Sister Haja Khadija. We ask Allah to give them the fastest recovery and to give them ajr for any pain which they feel. And there's a brother who's going through financial hardship. We ask Allah to alleviate his difficulties and to give him rizq in ways that he would not have imagined. I'd like to give it to Brother Abdul Ghafoor for a few short announcements. Jazakumullah khair.
Assalamu brothers. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Rabbi shani sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. You've seen the picture of Aylan Kurdi, the young boy who was very peaceful in the oceans of Turkey because his parents wanted to have a better life. They were suffering from the war in Syria. They wanted something better for their kids. That image of that child has woken the world up. That we have a responsibility for those who are suffering, especially our Syrian brothers and sisters. Of course, the refugees that are going into Europe are not just Syrians. They're Afghans, Iraqis, Northern Africans, Ethiopians. But the Syrians are the ones who have been suffering for more than 4.5 years. And they need help. And these are one of the most blessed days. These are some of the best days to go and help the one that is in need. So Islamic Relief is holding an emergency fundraiser for these refugees that are going into Europe as well as Syrians. This Sunday in Wyndham Hotel. We have tickets outside. Please come support. We have a duty to our Muslim brothers and sisters. We have a duty to our Muslim brothers and sisters, especially these days. Please come if you're fasting. We will have our food ready by Maghrib. So you can fast, get the ajr for helping the needy as well as your fast. So come this Sunday, we will have tickets outside. I want to thank the community here and the masjid leadership for allowing us to make the announcement. Jazakumullah khair. And if you have qurbani to give, we will also be outside taking that. Jazakumullah khair.
Thank you, Brother Ghafoor, for the reminder. A very quick note, thanks again for our Khatib, Brother Usman Umarji, for a beautiful reminder. Just a quick one, our Eid al-Adha is going to be on Thursday, 24th at the Angel Stadium. The Takbirat will start at 6:45 and 7:15 will be the Jamaat, inshallah, Rabbil Alameen. And in case there is a weather pattern change, then they would be in the local mosque in different areas. We'll announce that later on, but for now, just go to OC Eid if you need any updated information on that. On October 10th and 11th, we have the open mosque day. So just pick up a flyer on this to give to your non-Muslim friends and other faith followers. Assalamu alaikum.